The San Francisco 49ers just finished beating the Arizona Cardinals. They are now first place in the NFC West, 2-0 in the NFC West. Great game. We're going to talk about it next. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And I got my guy David with me. What's up, David? How you doing, man?
Hey, man. I was just down in Minneapolis this weekend, a little date week with my wife, and went to a show, drove back in time to get my phone mounted, watching the first couple minutes of the game on the highway, and then got in here to watch a kind of a nail biter and a little bit of a classic. And so I can't wait to break this one down.
You know, I gotta say, first of all, I love that you like do this from the couch. It's so comfortable looking, but the ambiance has improved in the post game. David, you're giving us your best right now. I love this.
I mean, it's you. Hey, we got the knotty pine. I remember when I moved into this house 11 years ago. I was like, all right, is this like Little Silence of the Lambs? But it actually, you know, we can show the artwork later. But yeah, we got to talk about these little lamps. You like that symmetry right there? You like that? It's like a Fibonacci
phenomenal
sequence or something. I just made that up. I don't know what it means.
Yeah. I don't know. It's Fibonacci sequence, and it sounded so good. It sounded so good. Perfect. All right, brother, let's talk about this game, man. What a nail biter. Absolutely fun game to watch. Interesting. Like, just a couple key points throughout the game, and you remind me what you saw from it. But Marvin Harrison certainly did his best Jaquiski Tart impression on the one throw. And then later on in the drive, DeMarcado drops an easy walk-in touchdown. That was a blessing for the 49ers. Prayers up to James Conner. His season's clearly done. That was awful from the jump. Hopefully he's okay. Calais Campbell is defeating Father Time. I don't know how he does this, but he continues to make big plays in big-time situations at 39 years old. Ricky Pearsall looked like an absolute stud today. We saw a Michael Williams sighting. Bosa gets injured. We have a kicker that we can trust. And Mac frickin' Jones, man. Mac frickin' Jones. So anything else that I missed? Just like quick thoughts, shotgun style?
Yeah. I think it's just another, what's standing out to me is the 49ers defense played well today. They had a couple of blips, had a couple of busted coverages, had a penalty that I actually thought Renardo Green was, I thought that was a little bit more ticky-tack than the announcers really made it be there, where they're kind of boxing each other out. That being said, yeah, Kyler Murray kind of playing like a bottom five quarterback today, but the 49ers defense down Nick Bosa, you know, they taking these hits, and that the way that they played, hey, he's an NFL quarterback. There's NFL weapons, right? This is an NFL team. And their defense has played relatively well. And Arizona, but offensively, no. Like thus far in the season, look, Bob Saleh has no doubt about it. Like you could say, oh, we're just on vibes. Oh, we're kind of being nostalgic. Oh, we're just confirming our priors. No, Robert Saleh has reinvigorated this defense, and what he's doing right now with these guys, where a lot of us really felt that he would have to kind of inject some energy into this team and really carry them to where I think you're seeing that's what he's doing right now. And to see some of these young guys, like you mentioned, Michael Williams, again, just an absolute beast getting that sack. We'll talk about that later. That almost was a safety for the 49ers. That's what's sticking out to me right now. And let's be real, Mac Jones, a guy that I've been very vocal about it in the draft process, not a fan. I don't think he's going to go set the world on fire throughout his career, but let's be very real. Unequivocally, Mac Jones has come in cold, 2 games, starter, bum knee, right? Running this offense. Okay, and making plays, and that's what he did in Alabama, middle of the field throws with precision and timing. He did that again. He made a mistake. He had a pick, right? He also had a dime to Ricky down the sideline, a teardrop, a play action faking was just beautiful today. There are a lot of things to love about Mac Jones. The bottom line, he's playing like a very serviceable NFL starter in Kyle's scheme, and we've seen this over the last 9 years.
Yeah, we have the comment says you play to win the games. I had to do a reset on all my stuff, so I don't even know if this is going to play, but I'm going to try. Hold on a second. Let's see. Did that come through on your end?
Nope.
The play, nope, dang it. I have the play to win the game soundbite right here. I just played it. I heard it. You guys probably didn't hear it. I got to
Man.
redo everything. Goodness sakes, David. It all stemmed from last week when all the technical difficulty started and I never went through and fixed it the way I needed to. Oh well, it is what it is. But you're right, man. I mean, actually let's just I mean, why hold out any longer? Let's talk about this because my gosh, man, if social media, if Twitter is any indication of the way that 49er fans really feel about this whole Mac Jones situation, what a funny thought exercise we have going on with Mac Jones playing decent football and winning 2 games in a row, with tons of injuries on this roster. And, certainly he wasn't perfect, but he was good enough to win today. And when it mattered most, he did what he was supposed to do. Things that, we would love to give other quarterbacks credit for, regardless of what it looked like. I remember a game against Cleveland where it looked really bad. And, but the game-winning drive, he put him in position and the kicker flubbed it. And so it's not his fault. I mean, what are you going to do? And that's what happened today. But it seems like no matter what, Matt can get no credit for whatever reason. And if you give Matt credit, you're automatically a Purdy hater. This is a really, really interesting spot to be in, man. This whole thing is it. God thinks it's funny is the only thing that I can come up with. And I actually think it's funny, dude. The pearl clutching on this is hilarious.
Well, it's funny because I'm watching the TL, and I mean, Ricky did make a great catch on it, but you're seeing every play.
Sure.
It was like we're saying the weapons name. Even the 49ers social media is like it's the catch. The guys like let's pump the brakes here a little bit. Like Mac, people say, well, he's just executing the offense. Like, and I mean, I've even seen people talk about how they don't think that he's got to prove that he's a high quality backup. Well, we knew that Mac Jones coming into this season is a high quality backup. He can start NFL games, right? Mac Jones is playing better at quarterback right now than the bottom third of the NFL, like minimum, right? And so and what would you expect from a backup with little mobility? But I'll tell you this, look, the interception was gross, right? It was disgusting. And I'm going to go back and look at it again, but not great. But we've seen that. This isn't whataboutism. Like we've seen that from other quarterbacks. We've seen that from great quarterbacks. That false equivalency of Mac like being given the grace of saying, hey, he's one of those guys that's going to carry you. No, he's not. But in Kyle, I'm going to say I've had my fair share of criticism, even though I've said Kyle lifetime contract, all this stuff. Look, Kyle's flexing too, but it takes a quarterback to do it. Right. We've seen Nick Mullins come in here and lose games. Right. We've seen we've seen Brian Hoyer go in and lose games. And granted, roster not quite as good, but this roster right now isn't exactly gangbusters on both sides of the ball with all this injury attrition. What Mac Jones is doing, injured himself. Okay. Injuries a little bit along the line with his weapons coming in cold, not being the guy. He just had the fourth quarter comeback. He just did it. Now you mentioned the firefighter, the arsonist and the firefighter, right? But aside from that one pick, and I know there's some people thought, oh, that safety's on him. Guys, like this game, football is not played completely in an all 22 lab where you could go back in hindsight and make all those decisions. Do I think he could have played a role in it? Possibly. I just walk away from this thinking, what more did you want from Mac Jones? He has exceeded all of my expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. To go 2-0 in this situation. I mean, I changed my pick from the 49ers to the Saints because Mac was playing going into that game. You know what I mean? And I felt like that was the right thing to do. It's like, hold on a second. You got a backup quarterback. You got all these injuries. You're on the road, 10 a.m. start. Like it just seemed at some point, it just seemed to be too much. Now that game was very close and we saw what a Seattle team that the 49ers were able to beat a couple short weeks ago were able to do to them. So the game was obviously closer than what it needed to be. And a lot of it is because of those things. But ultimately, it looks like Brock Purdy should be back next week. He was trending close to playing this week from the sounds of things, which means next week he should be back. And, you got to give Mac all the credit in the world. He did. People are like, oh, he did his job. No, he did more than his job. Being 2-0 as a backup, we saw what it looked like with the Bengals today. I mean, look at Browning, how awful that looked, and people were comparing him to Joe Burrow a week ago. Oh, he's just as good as Joe Burrow. Like, no, he's not as good as Joe Burrow. Otherwise, he'd be starting in the NFL. But Mac did what he needed to do. And, to boot, he had the knee injury. He was able to tough it out. So kudos to him, man. And I think the nice thing is that if Brock Purdy gets hurt again, Mac Jones is somebody that you now know you can win games with, even in tough situations. So that's good.
And I saw people talking about, hey, maybe Mac Jones plays well, or I saw a couple I don't know if I saw this correctly, but maybe he's worth trading. You don't trade Mac Jones.
No.
What are you talking about? If you are a team that you're 3-0, this team is in sole position of first place in the NFC West. And guys, there's more injuries that are going to happen to other teams around the league and to the 49ers, right? Starting out 3-0, and when all the talk about the schedule is easy on paper and everything else like that, bottom line is they're sitting as pretty as you possibly could, given all the horrible situation. I know we're going to be getting to a scenario, particularly with Nick Bosa here in a little bit, but this, to be where they're at, and there's some things I'm sure they're licking their wounds here, but boy, to come out of this 3-0, I honestly didn't think they'd be here. Not at the beginning of the season, but after they'd incurred some of these injuries, I, like you, wasn't really excited about Mac Jones' prospects against the Saints. Proved me wrong, but I had no problem saying that I was wrong. And right now, what you're seeing is I have confidence that Mac Jones absolutely can play in this. And guess what? Let's say Brock Purdy's turf toe is a little bit worse than expected. And by the way, Brock Purdy is the better player. I want to make that Brock Purdy offers so much more. I don't want to feel any of this garbage where people are going to try to misconstrue things that we're saying. It is possible, though, to compare two quarterbacks who play for the same team during the same season. Okay. And given the circumstances, I would argue that Mac Jones, given his pedigree caliber, which is supposed to be below Brock Purdy, has absolutely played beyond his expectations. Okay. I want to see when Brock comes back, do the same for him equitably for what he can do and who he is. Right. And so right now I'm excited going into Jacksonville or going to Santa Clara next week against Jacksonville, whoever's the quarterback behind center, because I really think this team has a legitimate shot to be 4-0.
Well, and they should get Jennings back. He was close, he was kind of iffy. So I would assume Jennings will be back. And then DeMarcus Robinson's back too. So the receiving core is going to get some help, much needed help next week.
NBA is coming back soon. I mean, this team is, look, and Ricky, like you said, we're going to talk about Ricky. There's a reason. And I remember when we did our draft show, I felt like at the time I would have preferred a different player, but Ricky was my wide receiver 6 in a deep receiver draft class. Yeah. He's showing you what he can do. He's putting it all together: the route running, the athleticism, the ball tracking, right, the hands, the reliability. The one throw today that Mac had that I would say, other than the interception, right, that was the ball placement was iffy on a completion, a little bit behind him, but he made a play. But just fingertip catch, those are not easy behind. I mean, those strong hands that Ricky has, like he's playing, like a veteran receiver. And he's an older rookie when he came in.
He's the same age as Jamar Chase, but listen, I mean, to be the number one guy right now and to be effective is impressive. And it's funny because I can't help but to bring this up. A lot of people will do what they can to discredit Mac and saying, well, Arizona is missing all their defensive backs. But those same people will praise Ricky Pearsall for doing what he did today against those same defensive backs. It's an interesting dichotomy that's happening. But yeah, you're right. I mean, listen, and David, I'll be clear with you. You want to be clear and make sure that your point is well received and nobody thinks that you're saying things that you're not. It doesn't matter. I spent all day on Twitter defending takes I never made. Never made them. Never once made them. Nobody can show me video proof. Nobody can show me tweets that I made them, but I made them in their mind, or I implied them. I've implied some things. And so that's the same thing as saying them, even though I've said the opposite multiple times. So anything you say on stream, it doesn't matter. It can and will be used against you, David. You know that.
Hey, we're two dudes north of 40. So I think sometimes in that regard, I think there's a lot of that with age comes that we really do not care what people think. And I mean, you almost can't, right? Because we're falling apart, folks. Okay. So the idea that, and I'm a high school teacher, like I'm around teens that are always keeping me on my toes and definitely dishing it. And I love that. And I return the energy. But here's the thing, guys. There's a player that I used to, even as an adult years ago, Jimmy Garoppolo. I was guilty of it, right? I truly, truly was, of giving him so much latitude to the point where I had an inability to receive criticism of him because I had married myself to the idea that, like, unequivocally he's the guy. I do think I like Brock Purdy a lot. I'm seeing the same thing though, and this is what's shading what people think that people say about Mac, or think that they're comparing about Brock, is that this idea that when you're comparing two quarterbacks, which you should be able to do at any position, right? It's a sample size of 3 games, but we can do this, right? And the sample size is growing for Mac. It is absolutely okay to hold Brock Purdy to a higher standard in this situation on this team, because he's the franchise guy. He was number 4 in MVP voting. Like, he's the dude. But I, with my Brock Purdy jersey hanging in my closet, have no problem criticizing Brock when he deserves it. There are many fans that just cannot do that. And I think that it's not so much about criticizing. It's like praising Mac is almost like they feel like that's a criticism of Brock. And I it's a weird, it's just a logical extension, a logical fallacy that I don't understand. And I don't think Jesse and I, last week's show, we've been very blunt about our assessment of Mac Jones before that Saints game. We've been very blunt about thinking about what we thought about him in the draft process. We weren't incredible fans of Mac Jones. And I still don't think that Mac Jones is a guy you're going to hang your hat on in this league. That being said, he's probably one of the best backups. He's a backup.
Yeah. Especially in this system, he's a hell of a backup. Let's talk about this Bosa injury, and we don't necessarily know the details of it yet. Nope. I mean, I got to imagine that, Shanahan will talk about it, but they're not going to know anything massive. They'll probably hear like, oh, we don't think it's an ACL, but MRIs are coming, and we'll see how long it is. And we'll probably find out in a couple days, whatever. But Bosa was having a hell of a start to this season. And that was one of my bold predictions this season, is that Bosa would have more sacks than he'd had in any season in his career, and that he would kind of remind people how good he was. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if this injury is a long-term injury, it's starting to become an issue. Yep. Where Bosa's missed enough time now, where, last year it was the oblique, and even when he was playing, he clearly was not himself. We saw that with the Baker Mayfield stiff arm and throw downfield. Like, that's where the oblique injury, that going into that game, that's when we first knew about it. And then obviously we know he did miss a year because of the ACL, and he had some core issues in college. Like, it's starting to become a potential thing. And it's really unfortunate because he's a really good player. But I guess the question that I have is, if Bosa's out long term, do you have confidence that this defense can hold up? Maybe not as good as they did today, because Arizona is no elite offense by any means, but that they can still get the job done defensively without Bosa. How would you feel about that?
They can play they can do this well as they can, but I'm happy to be 3-0.
Yeah.
That does not mean that we cannot acknowledge that the New Orleans Saints and the Arizona Cardinals, I mean, even at 2-0, people look at record too much. This Arizona team today, I mean, Kyler Murray he's bad. Kyler Murray is a bottom 5, in my estimation, a bottom 5 starting quarterback in the NFL. Okay. Spencer Rattler, right there with him. Okay. Without Nick Bosa, you're going to start going into some games and some teams who have better OCs, better weapons, and then deeper down the season, when all teams have attrition, including the Niners, they're not going to get the Niners aren't done getting injured, folks. No team is. Okay.
Yeah.
I just think that losing the best player on your defense, and Nick Bosa is the best player on the defense. I just want to say that. And I love Fred. Nick Bosa is a guy that you lose Nick. Mike Hill is a beast today, but Mike Hill plays a very specific role. And the way the defenses will key into Mike Hill, they already have, right? And freeing Nick up to go stunts inside, interior, and really just be an absolute beast. It's going to be very, very difficult to bring the guys in waves to have the success when you start getting into opponents that are really going to test you. And I think it'd just be foolish to say that you can, and they just don't have the depth. And I don't know what you could do who would you acquire? You're not going to be able to acquire anybody in the trade deadline that's going to be worth anything. That you don't have the capital to do it. You don't have the means to do it. You're not going to overpay in this situation. Like, you're looking at Chase Young, right? A couple of years ago, where they made the deal from Washington. There really isn't a player, at least off the top of the dome here, where I can think that they would really make that move if this were to be a long injury. Now, you look at Nick; he was looking up to somebody in the stands, probably his dad, I'm assuming. And that, I mean, it wasn't just this. You could see the look on his face. We don't know. But sometimes when you're doing, like, look, sometimes your body. Nick Bosa knows his body. I mean, Nick Bosa is a dude that's like comes prepared.
For sure.
It doesn't feel like this is probably trending in the right direction, at least in the interim.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, and knees are always finicky. Who knows? I mean, this could be a 1 to 2 week thing. This could be a long term thing, and that's just there's just such a wide a range of outcomes here, and so we're gonna wait with bated breath to see exactly what this injury is. Um, Cryptic says, I'll keep saying this. Let's give Pearsall his flowers. Growing into a number one, no matter the QB, learn to finish the close games is what this season is about. And that's
Yep.
Cryptic. I'm so glad you said that because that was the theme of the season going into it. That's what we talked
Yep.
about here. And that's exactly what's happening. It's not that they're 3-0. It's that they're 3-0 and grind it out, come from behind situations in 2 of the 3. They're learning how to win tight games, which is so important in this league. So important.
Well, and you took the words right out of my mouth. And I think that the flip side of that is too, is that, hey, they've done that and that these games have been tight. Like all 3 of these games really, truly could have gone the other way. Like,
Yeah.
and that's not to take anything away. But it is impressive that the Niners have been able to do that. That being said, with Nick Bosa's injury and having him, and you hope getting other players back, getting Brock back, obviously, getting BA back, getting Demarcus Robinson back, Jawan Jennings, having a full stable of receivers and weapons. I saw somebody say today he's only throwing to 2 guys. Who else do you want him to throw to? Right? You got so he had it was like CMC and Ricky Pearsall are getting the lion's share. I mean, these are your 2 best players on offense, but he was targeting Tonjes. He threw a touchdown to Juice, right? He threw a catch to KB. He threw a ball to Sky Moore, right? He did spread the ball around, but you can only work within the confines of the offense. I just feel like offensively coming back, that's exciting. Defensively, I feel like this team is going to be in a lot of tight games this year with these injuries. If Nick Bosa is out, despite Bob Saleh's best efforts, I think this is going to be the team that's going to have to come down to the wire and be exciting watches and be exciting post-game shows because of it all year long.
I still love that you call him Bob Saleh. It's funny, David, because my son's 11, right? And everybody people have heard me talk about him a ton on here. He's a Ravens fan, what have you. We're watching games throughout the day. Packers lose, for example, and some of these division games are very tight. And he's like, how is this team barely beating this team? Or how is this team, that team sucks? Like, how is it that they lost to this team so bad, but they're so close with this team or they beat this team?
Yeah.
And I had to explain to him, I said, son, like, this is the NFL. Just so you know, teams don't blow out other teams very often in the NFL. It just doesn't happen. And when your team does it on a regular basis, you should feel good about that. But that's not normal. The NFL is predicated on highly contested games between teams that are perceived to be bad versus teams that are perceived to be good and what have you. So that's exactly what the 49ers are getting into. They're just falling back to what the NFL has been used to. And we as 49er fans have not been as used to it because when they're good, they're elite. They're blowing everybody out. And so now these close games are super crucial.
100%.
Sean says, can we talk about it yet? Can we? I'm assuming he's talking about the Mac Jones Purdy thing. We talked about it. Papa says, yet another game that the Niners would have fumbled last year. Yes, for sure. Got to respect the defense and the grit of this team, winning despite all of the injuries. Couldn't have said it better myself, Papa. What a great comment. Tony says, do you think Purdy would have won this game if he played Purdy 2-minute drill versus Mac? Who looks better? Listen, I don't know. I think a lot of that comes down to like Shanahan play calling. And I think we talked about this last week that it's funny because there is no quarterback controversy, but if there's a coach that's going to make one, it's going to be Shanahan. And it's because every time he plays his backup, he did it when Purdy was the backup, by the way. Every time the backup comes in, he just like seemingly trusts them more than he does the starter in the strangest situations, like a 2-minute drill. It's so weird to me. So yeah, I think that Purdy would have executed this game just fine. A lot of people think that the 49ers would have blown him out today if it was Purdy. So I don't know. Go ask those people. Matt says, help me out. Interception on Mac or better play on the D, and saying it's a little bit of both doesn't count. First glance, I think it was 100% on Mac. That being said, I reserve the right to change my mind after watching the All-22, but I think it looked like it was just a bad decision.
It's just a forced throw, but I didn't see him do that very often throughout the game, and it happens, and it's not good. It's in that juncture of the game. It probably should have been the death knell.
Yeah, absolutely. It should have been. The Unbeaten with Keith and Bernie says, don't have anxiety when the kicker comes on the field. Literally none. No anxiety. It's so crazy how that happens.
Well, can I stop for that one? Right? Because
yeah,
like I talked about this, I think last week when you watched Jake Moody, or maybe it was against Seattle. I can't remember. Jake you watch Eddie celebrate when he makes a field goal. And I'm sorry, I don't like to get into these little anecdotal, is this really causal or is it, but like the passion, like you never saw it from Jake Moody ever. And seeing the guy that gets into making field goals, like gets in and pumps himself up. Like I feel you kind of need that. And Pinheiro has been one of the most accurate kickers in his career in the NFL. Like look, confidence is everything, man, in this game, particularly at place kicking. And so I think, hey, Brent Boyer, who now remember last week, I was like, okay, you're missing the extra point right off the bat, but he's come back in. We reserve the right to bash the kicker next week when he misses more field goals or extra points. Sure. Okay. Not to overanalyze, but yeah, man, like he looks like he's dialed in. He looks like he's excited. And I think you got to have that.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Cryptic says, Saleh is doing great in my opinion. You can't have the same play be broken 2 times, and lucky Harrison Jr. dropped one of them. Not sure if it's a youth thing.
Yeah, that and the Zay Jones was a drop. Like people, Upton Stout got in there, but Zay Jones dropped the ball. And the placement was a little off, but on that play, you can't really, Kyler, that's probably Kyler's best placement of the day. He's just sailing balls left and right, like things. And Harris, it was just like you said, the Jaquaski Tart thing. There were plays that Arizona could have, but there were plays the Niners beefed too, right? So CMC dropped 2 today, right? He almost dropped 3. Yeah. So stuff happened. Oh, and the DeMarcado drop. Yeah. And it was
pretty bad. He looked like he was in a walk-in. Yeah.
That was a gift.
Jason says Mike, who's the Arizona Cardinals content creator that I brought on for Behind Enemy Lines, would have looked great in that sourdough Sam hat this week. What do you see as the ceiling for Winters and Pearsall? They look really good. They do look really good. I definitely think that Winters could be a Dre Greenlaw type player. I do. He's just flashing it all over the place. Listen, Dre Greenlaw is a really good player, and I hated to see him go. But he was never like an all-pro or, he was good, really good. But Fred Warner is also really good, and I think he makes other people look a little bit elevated next to him. I can say that. Dre Greenlaw is Aziz Al-Shaair is good. Dre Greenlaw, good. But I think they look slightly better next to Fred, and I think that's the same for Winters. I think that we could see something similar there. And Ricky Pearsall, I don't know. I think he can be a really good number 2 wide receiver in this league is probably what I would have for him. What do you think, David?
For Ricky? Oh, I think
Ricky or Winters, both of them.
Yeah, I don't look at I think D Winters is a wonderful player in the context of his solid defense. I don't think that Winters is this Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis tandem type of guy, right?
No,
to Fred, he's not he's definitely more of the Robin. It's whereas Bowman and Willis were who's Batman?
Batman
right?
And Batman,
yeah, exactly. So this idea, Ricky though, absolutely. And again, I always looked at Ricky as being kind of that ceiling of a really good wide receiver 2, a strong wide receiver 2 at his ceiling. And I think right now he's showing that if he were in an offense where he wasn't even looked at to be the guy, and he didn't have the best. Honestly, I think he could actually. And Kyle's Kyle. I have to give Kyle his flowers. I disagree with the 4th down and 1 play call. I really did. And I think they probably should have called a timeout. That being said, I'm not going to crap on Kyle right now because what he's been able to do with Mac and all these pieces gone, albeit against some competition that's not the greatest, it still wins in the NFL, and it's still losses that probably should be happening with most backup quarterbacks in those situations. Ricky, if he was in an offense though, where he was able to be the 2nd or 3rd guy, if he was in the Bengals with Joe Burrow, for instance, right? If he were in Minnesota with a healthy quarterback and Justin Jefferson, right? If he were in Detroit, right? Opposite ARSB, right? I just feel like he's, and this is what I'm excited about. If BA comes back healthy, like we think he will be, this offense could really get excited. And because right now, CMC, I know you didn't ask about that, Jason, but CMC is doing, those. He's like the blue collar player right now. He's averaging 3 yards a rush every game. Like he's not. People can say what they want. The juice is not there. Okay, it is not right. And so when this offense comes back, I really feel strongly that this offense needs to be an aerial attack. This needs to be a passing offense, and they do have the weapons to make it work.
Yeah, they definitely do. And you bring up a great point. That's actually going to be the next topic. And Brian, we're going to get to his super chat in a minute. He talks about the CMC thing and the running game overall. So we'll talk about that. First, we got to do a little sleeper, get some action before the game starts because we got about 30 minutes or so. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to take our freebie in Goff. One of the best things about Sleeper is they always give you that freebie. So we're going to take the Goff freebie. Just needs 1 passing yard, and we win that one. Promo code LSS. That'll get you a 100% deposit match of up to $100. You too can play daily fantasy, weekly fantasy, or do what we're doing, which is more or lesses. Link is in the description. Check them out. Sleeper, the best fantasy app around, guaranteed. All right. Patrick Mahomes, 29.5 rushing yard. Oh, actually, we're going to stay away from that one. That's another promo, so I'm not going to take that. Okay. I'm going to give you... I'm going to give you 2 guys to get in the end zone, and you tell me which one is more likely, Malik Neighbors or Travis Kelce.
Oh, Neighbors.
Neighbors? Okay. All right, we're going Neighbors. Ooh, I like that. That's times 2. Okay. Chris Jones or Brian Burns. Who gets a sack tonight?
Probably both, but I will say this. I think I'm going to go Brian Burns.
Okay. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
God, how bad is the Chiefs running game? Look at this. You want to see the more or less on the rushing yards? Pacheco, 39.5 rushing yards. That's the more or less tonight.
Hey, look, and Mahomes was always like the early GOAT, right? But like Mahomes ball placement, decision making hasn't been really good this year. When this team gets more one dimensional, and it's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, and I will not say Mahomes is losing it or things like, but sure. I think the line tonight is -7 or -7.5. Yeah. And I know the Giants are the Giants, but they're at home. Hey, I picked the Giants to cover this. I think it'll be a tighter game, and I'll watch the Chiefs win by 40.
You're right. Do you think Pacheco's going to get 39.5 rushing yards?
No, God no. Because no. I think that he's in a basically timeshare with Kareem Hunt, and you're gonna. I don't see that happening. I think it's an under.
Gosh, man, that's really, really bad. All right, we're gonna submit this one. We're gonna put. We're gonna live dangerously. We're gonna put 10 down to win 130.
Hell yeah,
135. Because why not?
Why not?
So you can fade us or you can tail us. That's up to you. Either way, make sure that you don't miss out. Get in on tonight's game or tomorrow's game or next week's 49er game. However you want to do this. Links in the description for your deposit match of up to $100. All right, let's get back to it because this comment right here, Brian Burnquist brings up a really good point. He says, which one is worse? The play calling, you mentioned that, no Brock or no run game. The offense is not ascending with the defense. He's basically saying the defense is improving and the offense doesn't seem to be. What do you think, man? I mean, and we can talk about it through the context of the run game and then kind of bring the whole thing together here. But the run game is atrocious, man. It's really bad.
I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to have to go back and watch the all 22 because I was kind of all over the place, watching from the car, watch the TV, get on the treadmill, put it on the Amazon Fire tablet, things like that. I wasn't being as mindful about looking at the fronts, but I know in the last several games, there've been a lot of those 5-man fronts because it's not just the quarterback play, right? People aren't going to really respect Mac. They're going to make him go underneath, but it's actually where he can thrive. But the lack of weapons dictates that as well. I think when the 49ers weapons start to come back, I think that these defenses are not going to be able to rely as much on some of those stacked five-man fronts. And I think that will open things up for the run game. That being said, so that has made it harder on CMC. Absolutely. Right. But it's not that CMC is out there looking like he's an 80-year-old man at all, but he does not have that 2023 MVP juice. It's just not, it is not there. Okay. And that matters. Right. And so the no run game, I think the run game will improve. I would have to say though, play calling is not there for me. I don't have a significant problem with the play calling at all. I think that's like a broad stroke kind of assertion to say that the play calling is an issue. I don't see that. Having no Brock is a really big deal, though. Brock's mobility puts a lot of stress on the defenses, and Mac just does not have it. Now, he has pocket mobility. In fact, that safety today, it was still really impressive despite the holding, his ability to get out of the end zone. Like, he could have been tackled
especially with the hurt knee.
Yeah. And this is something he did well at Alabama. I remember my guy, Jordan Elliott, at Splash Cousin on now at NBC Bay Area, right? Back in the 49ers Gold 9 days, we were talking about that in lead up to the draft back then, about he had the kind of subtle uncanny knack to kind of slide in the pocket, feel pressure and things like that. And I don't think Jordan was really right on that. I remember looking closer because he got me on that. And you see that in Mac's game. He is not going to get a lot of yards, but he does a good job avoiding pressure from time to time or getting rid of the ball when he needs to. So no Brock to me is still a big deal. But hey, if this run game doesn't improve, it's going to let defenses key in. And if BA doesn't come back as healthy, or if there's any other issues, I don't think Jennings is going to be able to stay healthy all year. I just don't see it. That's the issue. That is a big deal. And that's why these games are tight, folks. Like, that being said, at the end, we have 4th and 1 where they went to Mac and Mac hits CMC in the helmet with under pressure. There was 3 plays there, guys, from like inside the fight. You couldn't punch it in. Like, you got to be able to do that. And the fact that Kyle did go to the throw is, just, I don't know if he has confidence in those short yardage situations.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, I'm going to read this to you real quick. Week 1, CMC 22 carries for 69 yards, 3.1 yards per carry. Week 2, 13 carries for 55 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. Week 3 versus Arizona, 17 attempts, 52 yards, 3.1 yards per carry. On the season, Christian is averaging 3.5 yards per carry. On the flip side, Jordan Mason had like 122 yards rushing with 17 carries and 2 touchdowns today. I'll just throw that out there. But yeah, it's he's clearly not the same in the run game. Christian McCaffrey is getting everything off of volume right now.
Yes.
And he's also so damn good as a receiver. Like, that's his value as a receiver is unbelievable. Like, it's so helpful to have him out there. Mac Jones wouldn't feel as comfortable if CMC wasn't out there as a receiver. We've seen Purdy not feel as comfortable without CMC. Jimmy Garoppolo looked his best with CMC. Christian McCaffrey is still a hell of a player, especially as a receiver. But if you don't see it after 3 games that this is not the same guy as far as explosive running, I don't know what to tell you. And the offensive line is not worse than what it's ever been. It's always been this way. Like, it's been this way. It's the same guys, the same scheme, the same everything. It's been this way.
And I think, like, you look at CMC, the volume is correct. I mean, you saw 17 carries, but he had 15 targets today. I want to go back and look. I think that I want to go back to the 2023 season. How many times did he have 15 plus targets in a game? There can't be that many, right? Because he has a hell of a lot of carries. He was getting sometimes he'd be getting 25 plus touches from on handoffs, right? So 15, that'd be a nice pull if we could find that. But 10 receptions for 88 yards, which is still great, but a long of 20, right? They made that one pull. So you don't want to but let's say we take out the worst, you take out the best, things like that, right? But that 9 for 68, it's still 8.8 running backs. Is pretty good, right? But with CMC, it's still a lot of these are just outlets that are they're hitting CMC when there's nothing else there. You live to see another day, you get a yard or two, great, right? But in the run game, man, it's just, I'm sorry, man, you just left 3.1 yards a carry. You could go back to all the CMC run games from 2023 to 24, 3 consecutive games in a row where you're hovering around 3 yards a carry. You can't tell me that that's exclusively the 5-man fronts. And I do think that is a stipulation. I think that is an element that needs to be considered. But the juice of him just being an elite burst, it's not there. And I worry about how well he's going to hold up through the season.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. But again, hell of a player still,
Oh,
passing game, receiving game for sure. But
yep,
he's just, as a runner, it is what it is. He's 29, man. He's
yep.
29,
He's a running
and
back.
he's had a ton of lower leg injuries. This is not just a recent 49er thing. I mean, he's had lower leg injuries like crazy coming from Carolina, even. So,
Yep.
Double B Studio says trade Purdy and Bosa and sign a lot of great players. Well, unfortunately, when you trade them,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to take some cap hits. But yeah, all right. Double B also says the defense was fine without Bosa. In this game, they were. But
Were
I
they?
also, I do want to point out, well, they ended up winning the game, right? And I think that if they had lost the game, maybe the perception would be different. But we can't forget that game against Seattle last year where Geno Smith looked petrified. And then literally the second Bosa leaves, he looked like the most confident quarterback in the NFL. It was the craziest night and day I have probably ever seen. And Geno Smith always struggled against the 49ers. He's always had this thing. I swear Nick Bosa was in his head. But the moment he was out, he was running all over the field, making crazy throws. Nick Bosa is really good. Nick
Yeah.
Bosa is really, really good.
And we don't know. Like I said, the Jags haven't been lighting the world on fire, but I didn't even see the Jags end up pulling that one out today. Yes. The Jags are 2-1. And Liam Cohen is still figuring things out with Trevor Lawrence for sure. But like Ben Johnson kind of broke through with Caleb Williams again. It's the Cowboys defense, but they look pretty damn good today, right?
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see if Nick Bosa's out. Liam Cohen's has elite capabilities as a play caller and a play designer. And I think as they're gelling together as an offense and figuring these things out together, and these first September's weird, guys. And so
It's
I
so
think
weird.
though next week with Bosa out, the Jags offense doesn't seem to be the gangbusters, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Liam Cohen kind of get some wrinkles in that people are feeling more comfortable with. I think it's a big challenge for this defense without Bosa if he's out next week.
Yeah, and that's assuming that he's out. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Completely. Jeremy says, let's talk about our defense and solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man,
You
there's
bet.
not enough good things that we can say. Kalia Davis flashed
Oh,
again. This is 3 weeks in a row. Michael Williams, gosh, I love that he's doing great, man. And a lot of people really wanted to bag on him after 1 week. It's so funny.
yeah, it's hilarious.
He's doing great. Can we talk about this though? This is interesting, and you threw it in the group chat. Martin has been a healthy scratch all 3 games. All 3 games. Like, what is going on there, man?
And my thing is this: the explanation is he doesn't play special teams. Why not?
Yeah.
Like
Why does he not?
why doesn't he? Nick Martin was like the idea of like, and granted, I don't do deep dives in college player special teams. I will be very honest with you. I like
Yeah.
Nick Martin. When he was drafted, I had this excited look on my face, but I had like that 6th round, 7th round kind of area where I would have been ecstatic. I totally would have spent a 4th on Nick Martin, a late 4th, early 5th. Okay. 3rd, it was like, ooh, okay. And now that's why we have that reaction, right? Is that why can't a guy with elite athleticism and speed be playing when he's 100% healthy? Like,
Right.
why is that? And why can't you be using this guy as a jack of all trades in some other way? And again, he's young, but this is a 3rd round pick, right? This isn't a Ronnie Bell, out of position, obviously here, right? This isn't a Nick Zakel, a Tariq Castro Fields. This is a 3rd round pick, not a kicker. Okay, not Cam Latu, some obscure and Nick Martin though was the obscure, and so now all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh my God, is Nick Martin becoming Cam Latu? Right? It's like, and yeah, I think it's a great, a healthy scratch. Something's going on because all I heard in the offseason, all I heard through training camp is this: Nick Martin's going to be a beast. Nick Martin's going to be a running mate, and I like Nick. Something's not adding up, and if you don't have the acumen to discipline to play special teams, you surely don't have the acumen and discipline to play in an NFL defense. And I think that's what they're probably seeing is that they can't trust him to not play with his hair on fire to the point that all gas, no brakes with no discipline though. Right. And I think that to me, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that was my issue with the Nick Martin pick too, is it's not that he can't ever be good. It's just that I felt like he was never going to be ready this year. And early on, that seems to be the case. So, and I also feel like the talk of D Winters like having no chance. It was so funny because, the way that the 49ers played this offseason with the linebacker position through the draft and what have you, it's almost as if they were telling you they didn't believe in D Winters. And D Winters just kept going out there and proving himself and proving himself and proving himself.
Yeah.
And look at where he's at now, And so I don't know if he's a pleasant surprise or if we, maybe I read into the situation too long, but it just seemed as if they were trying to do anything but give D Winters the job outright. And
Yep.
clearly he deserved the job outright. So Double B Studio says we get another receiver back from suspension. Yes, DeMarcus Robinson. Yeah,
100%. No, I was going to say just about the Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is putting himself in a position where I think everybody can say he got a raw deal in New York. Robert Saleh is a phenomenal X's and O's coach and schematic coach, but he is a player's coach on top of that. And I do not believe that you cannot be a successful head coach just because you're a defensive mind. We've seen those guys have success. Obviously, you'd love to have the guy be the OC, the genius, things like that. But if they keep doing this, I mean, guys, 260 total yards today, averaging 4.1 yards a play. You've got a healthy look. Kyler Murray was a number one. Like, here's your top of, like you have weapons. You have Trey McBride. You have Marvin Harrison, who was supposed to be almost like the Ashton Genty generational guy, right? Hey, Michael Wilson isn't a slot. Like they're players there, right? This defense came to play and had Bosa out almost the entire game. Like Saleh is, I just can't say enough. And I'm worried. I don't think he'll be on the 49ers for that long.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And we're seeing it with Glenn too. I mean, it's some organizations just aren't good organizations, and it doesn't matter who you put over there, it's going to be a problem. And that's what's happening with the Jets.
Yeah.
Larry says, I do not care. We wanted to see close games. We have 3. Mac did great in the second half. First half was offense impotence, but he was very good in the second half. I don't clutch pearls, just fandom. Bang, bang. Pretty Ricky. I love it, dude. Absolutely love it. I saw that you gifted 5 members as well. Appreciate you, Larry. You're great, man. Sean says Winters is getting extended at the end of the season. I'm gonna let you give the Purdy is better because of the sample size. However, I'm not confident he wins last week or this week. I don't trust Brock Purdy in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
well, you went there.
I mean, Brock in the fourth quarter, they did get the Seattle win, but there was, we talk about the arsonists and the firemen, the things like that. We've seen that with Jimmy. We've seen that. But Brock, to me, is, I don't think, I think in this game, a healthy Brock, a mobile Brock, I'm not concerned. I don't think, and again, you were talking about an Arizona defense that does need to be said. To be fair, they were without their corners, right? It does matter. But
yeah, it does.
Like, you still got to line up and play who you're playing.
For sure. This is probably the first time that Sir Cash Money has put together a coherent super chat. Every time he super chats, it's always something like, I don't understand. It's way over my head. But I totally understand this when he says Mac Jones was literally getting cybernetic upgrades mid-game. Moody would have never delivered that win like Pinero did. Canelo let us down, but now Pinero will take up the Mexican mantle as the champion.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely love it, man. Good job. Yeah, listen, Marco and I had a bet. We don't even know what the bet is. I'm not even going to cash in because I don't really care. But I had Crawford, he had Canelo, and yeah, not a great day for Canelo fans. Shady says Mac, MF and Jones. He's an Eagles fan, by the way. And he comes back and says, shout out to my birds. They helped y'all. Man, what a collapse by the Rams today. They scored 26 unanswered. I think they were up 26-7 at one point. Ended up losing 2 blocked field goals to end it, basically. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And that's why the 49ers are first in the West. Eric says, I think this team has shown we can win with all the injuries except for one caveat, offensive tackle. If we have an injury there, we are effed. Yeah, I don't disagree with that one, brother. I mean, and it's the accumulation, though, too. It's like, if Bosa is going to be out, and how many injuries can you go through? You can only do so much. So it's getting tough. Larry says, I love your show, Jess. And when David is on, let's frickin' go. Well, thank you for contributing the way you have today, Larry. Appreciate you. And yeah, I would watch because David's here too. Andrew says the close games show the grit of this team. Upton Stout was clutch. Upton Stout's been playing pretty good football, though. He really has. I mean, he's had his moments, but again, these are rookies we're talking
Yes.
about. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's like where you can't expect perfection, but
No.
what we're seeing is clearly enough for them to be on the field and to win. So
Yep. And I think like the nitpicking of some of these guys, like again, 260 yards, 4.1 yards of play, you get a couple penalties, you get busted. I mean, the bottom line is it's a 16-15 game, and 2 of those points were a safety. Like, granted, yeah, did you miss the walk-in touchdown? Sure, but like still that happens, right? That's another just a 4-point difference. So this idea that this defense is it, you can't quibble with it.
absolutely not. Matthew, what's up, dude? It's been a long time. He says, "Hey, Jess, been a while." Yes, it has. 3-0, rocky win, but a win nonetheless. I've noticed this team plays with pressure. Good confidence win. Pearsall is a beast. Yeah, you're right about that, Matthew. It's really good to see you, man. It has been a long, long time. The Unbeaten with Keith and Bernie says, let's give some props to Pearsall. Kids have said, I swear you said this earlier. Maybe it's super chatted twice. Maybe I kept it twice, but yes, absolutely is a stud. I agree. And then Antonio says, the Predator and the Winter Soldier. I'm copywriting it right now. Predator's a good one, dude. I've never heard that. I've heard him being compared to the Predator. I've never heard him called Predator. Okay. I do have to run a 60-second ad spot for a new sponsor of mine, Brunt. They are the sponsor of today's show. Sleeper is the sponsor for the season. Let's run the ad spot real quick, and then we'll get right back to it. Let me tell you about my friends over at Brunt Workwear. Check these boots out, man. You can see the craftsmanship from the jump, from the box to the bags to the boots themselves. These things are built to perform. They're waterproof, safety toes. You can get soft toes, pull-ons, or lace-ups. They've got every option for every job. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners will get $10 off at Brunt when you use promo code LSS at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com, use the code LSS, and you're good to go. And after you order, they're going to ask you how you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them it was from Last Second Sports. Dude, that guy's voice is so good.
My
So
God,
good.
it's just so silky. It just made me feel like I was, wrapped up in a blanket by the fire and just I was falling asleep to the sweet, soothing lullaby. Oh, God,
I
who
think
was
I
that?
think doves flew and angels cried during that one. I
My-
really feel it.
Well, I also
Jeez.
want to say, like, I was an Al Bundy myself in a former life guy. I
Yeah.
worked in footwear for 10 years, baby. And like those boots, like legit. This is full disclosure.
Yeah.
I've actually never heard of Brunt. Jesse didn't tell me this ad spot. Those boots look great. So I want to see some more of that selection. Maybe I can give them a couple trials and start getting them sold up here on the North Shore of Minnesota on Lake Superior.
I'm telling you, man, they got like the Romeo styles and all. They got the whole gamut. If you're a working guy,
I'm
they're
a teacher.
legit. Like,
I'm a teacher. I work for
those boots are like 5 pounds each, man. I'm not joking you. Those things were heavy duty. So that's real. All right, let's let's see. We hit. I want to make sure that we hit everything. Like run game and league. Actually, yeah. Let's give some praise. We've seen the chat giving some praise. Let's end on this one. Let's give some praise onto some players that stood out to you. Like, just give me 2 or 3 guys that you were really watching today and felt good watching them. They did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Williams, I just keep talking about it. I think he was a guy that wasn't sexy for a lot of people because he fits this role where you clearly saw them in the draft process and then afterwards about him being a guy that can really hold up at the point of attack, shed blocks, clog up blocks. And when he puts it all together, when he's asked, I do think that he can be a guy like today. I mean, granted, Kyler Murray was out running, but he ended up putting that pressure, right? And it almost was that safety for the Niners, right? I can't say enough about Michael. I know you talked about Kalia Davis. I thought Samuel Quinano was continuing to play well as well. And then I just think shout out to Upton Stout and Demo and Renardo Green. I know they got the penalty in the end zone, but the secondary was kind of concerning me to a degree at first. But I think I think these young guys are playing really, really well. And if Nick Bosa is going to go out, they're going to be tested, right? If there's going to be less pass rush with Nick Bosa out, and it's just going to be interesting to see if they can maintain that. So kudos to them. And again, of course, Mac Jones. Look, man, you've exceeded all my expectations, and to get those 2 wins, game ball's got to go to Mac 2 weeks in a row, at least one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And another guy too that really struggled week 1 and didn't even flash really during preseason, which was crazy because this is a guy who started in this league, or not started, but played significant snaps in this league at some points. Huff, man. Huff has shown up. He's shown up the last couple of weeks in big time moments. And so him, Kalia Davis, who I believe you mentioned. Also, sometimes it's players that you don't hear about. The safety play has not been awful for the 49ers, as bad as it could be. You know, you lose Hufanga, you lose Malik Mustafa, you go sign guys like Pinnock. It really hasn't been that bad overall at the safety spot. Like it just, the top hasn't been taken off a ton because the safeties are screwing things up. Now, they haven't played the greatest quarterbacks. I get it.
No,
we'll see.
And that's the thing. So that's where I'm saying, and I think I brought that up in New Orleans because there were some moments where the safeties got us in a little trouble last game. And I think when you are going to see guys that can really, Kyler's constantly just looking for a running lane. Like Kyler can't look. Height matters, folks. Oh my goodness. Like even if Fred made a great play and the lineman's got to engage, so he's not going to, but like when you're 5'8", I don't even know what he is. Like it's harder to get the ball over these dudes. And so it'll be interesting. Rattler as well, right? Like, so it'll be interesting to see how this all works out next coming weeks. You're going to have Trevor Lawrence, who's hasn't proven himself completely in the league. Obviously, you got Matt Stafford, and then you got Baker Mayfield, who to me is playing. I got a little nugget about Baker Mayfield. We could talk about maybe another time.
He's playing really good football again with another game-winning drive. Call Me Ghost wants me to shout out Alfred Collins, who had a good game, which I agree with. This is what I and Call Me Ghost. Listen, I'm going to go on a quick little rant. This is the post-game rant, though. It's titled appropriately. And I'm not blaming you for this. This is just in general. It happened all day on Twitter with me, and it happens all the time, and it's super annoying. I hate more than anything, despise defending takes that I didn't make. I literally had an argument for 30 minutes on the draft show with Coach defending the Alfred Collins pick. For 30 minutes, I defended it while he was against it. And then after week 1, I was told how bad he looked. Last week, I tried to give him some props because I thought he looked better. And today, I thought he looked better.
Yep.
I liked the Alfred Collins pick. I think it's going to pan out. You did too. So I don't owe him an apology. I think maybe and this is the other thing. Takes are takes. Nobody owes anybody an apology, period. But if we're talking about Alfred Collins specifically, I was on board with the Alfred Collins pick. This is not my take, brother. This is not my take. All right.
Well, it'd be like saying you owe Mac Jones an apology because today I said that was a horrible interception by Mac Jones. Yikes. Yeah. That's not me trying to be sarcastic or put a dig. It's just like objectively what we see. Again, north of 40 people. Like we just say what we want to say, and I'm not really concerned about. Like I think somebody asked Jesse this. Somebody said, "Hey, you QT'd it? Like, are you the same person on or off Twitter?" And I would argue that yes. You said yes, and I am too. But there's more to us as well. Like, right? Like, there's so much more. Like, I'm going to be honest. I don't say things to get likes. You know, like you just say what you feel, and I think that's what people gravitate to, and I think that's why Jesse and Last Second Sports has such a following, because when you watch this show, when you watch his shows, whether it's with Grant or with Isaiah, or with a whole host of other guys that he kept bringing on here, you're going to get his unfiltered opinion. You're not kowtowing to what sells or the populism of like what way the wind blows. And you owe yourself an apology, brother.
No. He says, it's my bad. I was high on Alfred Collins, was my favorite coming out of the draft. I hated Kruger and Grant for hating on him. All right, well, go yell at them. All right. Geez, come on, Call Me Ghost. No, I liked the Alfred Collins pick. I did. And I defended it It's worth the watch. If you're an Alfred Collins guy, go watch night 2 of the draft. Coach and I have a good 30 minutes. We have it out. It was a really, really funny moment. Coach and I often do this. So there you go. Cryptic says a quarter in what is most surprising for the 49ers? Oh, it's a quarter into the season. Okay. What's most surprising? Also, is the West one of the best divisions? In an offseason, I didn't think it would be competitive, but I am wrong. I don't know that it's one of the best as far as like the teams top to bottom, but I will say it is one of the most competitive for sure. It certainly is. There's good enough teams and everybody's kind of even. I still think the Rams are the cream of the crop. I do. Like, yes, they lost to the Eagles today, but the fact that they were dominating that game the way that they were on the road for a significant portion of that game, I think shows how good that they could really be. They just got to close that game out. But I would say the most surprising thing is I do think, when I mapped it out, I had the 49ers at 3-0 at this point during the season, but I certainly didn't if you would have told me the bevy of injuries that they've had. Being 3-0 at this point with the injuries that they've had, nothing but kudos, man. Nothing but kudos.
And here's just want to caution though about these win-loss records early on. Like, where the NFC West is the best division. Like, I can't remember what year it was, and I tried to do a poll and I was wrong, but I vividly remember. I want to say Bobby A. Bear was the quarterback for the Saints back, and I don't in the 90s. And I could be I can't remember if it was that or if it was the Falcons. One of those teams got up to like a blistering 5-0 start in the mid 90s, and they believe they finished, 7-9, right, or maybe even 6-10, right? Like, I'm not saying that's the Niners, the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks, whatever it is, but September is weird, and this is a long season, and you do have to take into consideration like who all these teams are playing. I do think the NFC West is a good division. I think the Arizona Cardinals, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like after watching these guys the last several weeks, I think this team is booty cheeks. I think they're I honestly think that I was a little bit, I said, hey, they're gonna be feisty. I kept saying that, and I thought believing it. I'm like, this team is not good. Like, this team is going to be in the running for a top 5 pick. I'm just gonna say that right now. Like, they just don't have it. And the Rams, they threw that game away. The Rams aren't going to go anywhere. That Rams team does scare me. And the Eagles, obviously, with the fortitude they showed. The Seahawks are a team that I really do believe in as well, and as I do the Niners. So in that being said, yeah, I do think the NFC West is a lot better than a lot of people thought they were. I just don't know if they're a juggernaut. And we're just going to see how it all plays out over these next 5 or 6 weeks.
What do you think is more likely? Kyler Murray's the quarterback of the Steelers next year, or Mike McDaniel's the offensive coordinator in Arizona?
Mike, this is a good question. I wonder about Mike McDaniel. Look, I love Mike McDaniel. I thought that he deserved a shot. It's very clear that, at least it seems now, that the personality is running thin. That being said, Tua is also a guy who I think is a bottom 10 quarterback in the NFL. Probably worse than that. Okay. Sorry. Argue with the wall. I can go into detail later. I'm not going to do it on this show. Right. Yeah. But like, I think, Mike, I don't see Kyler Murray having success in the NFL. I just don't. He's not he is a quarterback that's constantly looking for improvisation. He's a quarterback that's constantly looking for running lanes. He cannot see over the offensive line. Like, his throw, the zip on his throws was non-existent. McBride bailed him out on multiple floaters today, just sailing balls left and right. Ball placement was horrible. He's not good. He's been in the league long enough to do this. They have committed to him. They re-signed him. They extended him. He is returned nothing. Like, this is just, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic. This is the rant for me. I am out on Kyler Murray. Like, out on his futures. I'm out. I'm not a team that's going to be hitching my cart to him at all. So I would say McDaniel.
Okay. Old Fogey says Brock can't make those throws, and y'all know it.
Which ones?
I don't know exactly which throws. There are throws that Matt can make that Brock can't, for sure. I think there are throws that Brock can make though that Matt can't. There's so many little nuances to playing quarterback, and to me, there's arm power and then there's arm talent, and those are two separate things. I think Brock Purdy has a lot of arm talent, and what I mean by that is he can maneuver his arm. Like, he gets those quick rushers and he sets his feet so quick and can throw around defenders, and he makes it look easy, and it's a throw behind the line of scrimmage. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's just throwing behind the line of scrimmage, no big deal. But when you really break the play down and you realize the angle that he had to get the ball out to complete it, and he always chooses properly there, you don't get credit for those things the way that you should, but that's arm talent. And those are throws that a lot of quarterbacks cannot make. It seems simple, but they really can't. The defender would bat that ball down. And I think Mac's one of those guys. So I think we can do this both ways. We really can.
Yeah. And I think Brock Purdy's arm strength is not great. Let's be real with this. I'm sorry. People argue with the wall too, but that's different than arm talent. I would even say like Baker Mayfield actually has a pretty strong, but Baker Mayfield's a guy that has arm talent to me that I see day in and day out. I saw it today multiple times.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, those are the kind of things that are different. I disagree. Also, I've seen Brock Purdy make some absolutely amazing throws in his career, and if we were watching it right afterwards, we'd all be talking about it. So like that. I think it's kind of low hanging fruit that doesn't even really exist.
The Unbeaten with Keevan Burney says, I like winning these grimy games. I'm assuming you meant grimy games.
Yeah.
I do too, man. I do too. It's really good to see. And then the last one is Will. On one of the most resilient, gritty wins I have seen in this regime so far.
Yes.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 weeks in a row. Saleh outcoaches Kyle. The D just seems more prepared at the moment. I think week 2, Kyle did better. Like if there was a better or worse, I think with Mac Jones and all those injuries, I would have given the nod to Kyle, but the defense does look better at this moment. There's a lot of injuries on offense though too. I don't know. I think they're both doing a phenomenal job. Honestly, I do.
And I actually thought Ricky, there's a couple of things I saw in all 22 before. Like Ricky's been playing well and had the stat line, the box score, the big catch. There's been a couple of times too there I've seen Kyle, like Ricky's run. There was a couple of incompletions. They actually had one in particular where Ricky kind of ran his route, like instead of settling down on the button, like where it was clear that the ball was supposed to go on a curl to where he's coming back to it, and he just kind of brain farted on the route. That happens though. All receivers do it. Like you see it. CMC, I think, had a wheel route today that Mac thought, hey, I'm seeing this. You have that option route. And CMC, instead of like kind of taking the sideline, curls into the MOF, middle of the field, and probably would have been a touchdown. I mean, it's life. So like I think that's one of those things where we expecting these guys to be perfect is just a fool's errand.
Antonio says Breeze had a weak arm, but you didn't finish the thought. It's a $2 super chat, so I'll finish it for you. But was the most accurate passer in NFL history.
Right.
That's how he made that work. So that's a huge but. I mean, that's a pretty big caveat. You know what I mean? I don't know.
He's a Hall of Fame. He's a gold jacket Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. Yeah. Next.
Yeah. Anyways. All right, man. Hey, thank you to everybody that contributed. Thank you to the sponsors, Brunt Workwear, Sleeper, as always. Thank you to David for lending his time. The 49ers are 3-0. We have a lot to talk about this week. We'll catch up on the Bosa injury. Coach and I will be back tomorrow night with cover 2. I hope you all have a blessed evening. Enjoy tonight's game. Talk soon. Peace.